Alright, so after about 40 minutes of testing this mount, here is my honest review. And yes, I personally think 1,280 pearls is actually a good deal. And if you have enough discounted coupons, it can go down to 690 pearls, which for what it does, I say is worth it. So let's get into the real performance. First of all, auto gathering, how good is it? So the gathering radius isn't huge, but it's good enough, especially on mountain pass. You can pick up things both slightly above you and below your current height. But if you sprint really fast, you will miss a lot of materials. So the mount is perfect for players who like to explore slowly, enjoy the scenery, and casually pick things up along the way. It is also amazing if you are upgrading tons of items, if you craft a lot of weapons, if you're farming oil, poison, or the other material for dungeons and PvPs, or if you are building houses like myself, or if you hate manually checking every single bush. The efficiency boost is honestly insane. But that said, I survived 3 months without buying it, so if it's outside your price range, or if you're not the type who farms a lot, so it's definitely not mandatory. Now let's talk about passenger riding, because this part is actually super convenient. For things like flame oil and poison materials, both players can pick them up at the same time, which is amazing. But for items like small branches and loose stones, the game simply does not allow 2 players to pick them simultaneously. So if your friend chop a tree or grab a pebble in your world, you won't get anything. That's just how the system works, so of course the mount can't bypass that rule either. But still, this mount is perfectly for carrying a low level out or gathering together with a friend. Just keep in mind, unless you travel only by the horse, you'll need to reinvite your passenger every time you teleport to the boundary stone. And sometimes you might dismount when you transport. Also, I don't know if either of our internet connection is not good or the fact that we actually live in different countries, but I actually encountered 3 drops. Like my friend's character literally just dropped out and the screen turned black, and then I have to invite my friend again. I don't know if this is very common in the co-riding or passenger riding situation, but that's something that you have to think about. Also, later on, we gathered for almost 30 minutes. Nothing like that has happened again, so maybe that's just some random glitch. You probably already noticed, but a warning for city life, because pretty much every mount, including this horse of course, maybe except that small tiny cat that will unlock. Maybe except that small tiny cat that was just released in the Chinese server, they will all knock NPC flying. They just go flying several meters away when we approach, even though the animation doesn't show that we actually touch them. So yeah, not the best choice if you want to look civilized in the main city Kaifeng. So what it doesn't gather. So you cannot gather trees because you need to chop them down. You cannot gather big rocks, that requires breaking. But there are tons of fallen branches on the ground that do count as wood, and the mount will happily pick that up. And in later maps like Wujianshan, there are many materials already break into pickup form. The mount collects these easily. So auto gather doesn't mean you can turn an entire area into a barren wasteland by riding through it once. That's impossible. If that's what you think this horse does, this horse is not for you. But there are moments where I randomly pick up a direction and suddenly collect 10 to 20 items that I don't even know that was there. There were tall grass, weird corners of cliffs, awkward slopes. These things kind of hindered my eyesight. Yeah, I did not. These things were there. but these mounts actually find things that I literally never noticed before. So about the terrain test, how well does it climb? How well does it fall? It can climb small slopes and moderate hills. In this area of Liangzhou, it actually climbed quite good, unlike the snowy mountains. But for like some other smaller hills, sometimes like it can't climb. If you're super into climbing mountains and you just can't bear that you have to like come down every time that you climb a mountain or enter like a different terrain, for example into water, if it was deep enough, you actually have to get off because the horse doesn't swim. But once you get to the shore, you can call your horse and you come back on again. So if that's an issue for you, then don't buy it. I was actually pretty surprised about the horse's ability to fall down from someplace because as you can see, like I accidentally fall from a very tall wall and I thought I was gonna get hurt like always and my horse is gonna get hurt. But as you can see, like we're perfectly fine. Even though it cannot climb, sometimes you can climb back down if that helps you in any way. I think the Auto-Pathfinding is the best for finding resources. Once you mark some material on the map, you can click it and the horse will find it for you. Even though it can't climb up the mountains by itself, but it can collect most of the things on the mountains, even just standing under the mountain. Or you can climb up the mountain a little bit yourself and collect the remaining materials. Then you can make the horse to take you to the next material finding place by clicking the feature again. The map automatically locked the nearest one for you anyways. Here, although it says that they can't reach the destination, what it means that the horse can't physically touch it because it was just a little bit high up a tree. But as you can clearly see, that didn't hinder its ability to collect these. It can also help you find nearby NPCs on a quest or somewhere you marked on the map, or the cave puzzle thingy you struggle to find. It doesn't work on all of them, sometimes it still get blocked. I did try to go to Qinghe to Jianshan's cave and it worked once, the next one I failed to find. So it can travel across maps sometimes. I don't know if it was a bug thing or like was it connected to higher mountains where you can't climb, or will it stop when there was enemies or like smaller stuff that it can jump. Sometimes it doesn't stop for enemies, like it will just directly go past them and an enemy can't catch up. Just expect it to work maybe half of the time. But I think it's even harder when you don't have a very specific mark on the map where you just like want to travel from one place to another. It kind of really sucks. I think for almost all of the mounts, if I'm not mistaken, there is a auto-pathfinding feature. And sometimes it just goes to people's house even though there is a much clearer, straighter way. You can clearly walk straight to this location yourself or on the fucking horse. But it insisted on taking a huge detour, run into someone's house, and then tells you can't go any further. I tried it 3 times. I thought it was like a bug or like I clicked something wrong. But I tried 3 times and 3 times it go into somebody's house and then tell me I can't go any further. But as you can clearly see, if the horse didn't take the detour and go into somebody's house and just go straight, you can reach my marker in no time. And this is the only material collecting horse without spending hundreds of dollars on gacha, so like why don't you fix that? However, if you look at it another way, the game doesn't want any paid enhancement to actually be all powerful, so that the free-to-play players might be sad about missing it. I don't know, depending how you look at it, I guess. So is it worth buying? For around $20 or half of the price with coupons, yes. Personally, I do think it's worth it. If you gather a lot or enjoy slow exploration. For players who don't craft much, do not farm, don't care about weapon upgrades, do not need any materials, do not build houses, or just want to upgrade whenever they randomly pick something up, then honestly you don't need this mount. But if you love efficiency, exploration, and a relaxing walk and gather vibe, this is one of the most useful mounts in the game. It can actually walk inside of your yard or your buildings, unless it's a closed buildings like the ones that you actually live. But look at me walking like on a bridge inside of my own yard, which is unfinished because you still see a lot of blueprints. But yeah, that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. That's all that I have to say about this mount. Whether or not you wanted to buy it, it's totally up to you. And I hope my test video is actually useful in making the decision for you. Thank you so much. Bye.